Hi, this is Josh Clark with this week's episode of Be Your Best. Don't you just love this time of the year? It's an opportunity for a fresh start, a new beginning, which brings me to a question. Are you ready to live your best year ever? I hope you said yes, because this is the beginning of a 7-part series called 7 Steps to Your Best Year Ever. Now, at this time of the year, we often hear people talk about setting goals, right? But you know, what's the number one thing that holds us back from either setting the goals or achieving these goals? And that is, in order to succeed, we first have to believe. We have to believe that anything is possible. We have to believe in ourselves. And oftentimes I hear people say, well, you know, Josh, I don't set goals, or I don't believe I can achieve my best year ever because of past failures. But let me tell you, yesterday really ended last night. Today's a brand new day. Past failures are not indicative of future results. You can achieve whatever you believe is possible. You know, I want to share a story with you. And as a former cross-country coach and as a runner, I love running stories. And this story takes us back to 1952. Roger Bannister was running the 1,500 meters. He placed 4th place, and he wasn't happy with the results, with his finish, but it strengthened his resolve. That was a positive that came out of it. Strengthened his resolve that he would be the first person to break the 4-minute mile. Now, it didn't happen right away. In fact, there was, over and over again, he failed over 2 years. And then finally, on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister was the first person in all of recorded history to break the 4-minute mile. He ran it in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. Now, here's the interesting thing. Only 46 days after he set that record, it was broken again. And since then, over 1,300 people have broke the 4-minute mile. In fact, even 10 years later, a high school student in America named Jim Ryan ran the mile in under 4 minutes. Now the question is, why did no one in all of recorded history break it? And then all of a sudden it seems everybody's breaking the 4-minute mile, right? You know, the answer is simple. Nobody believed. You see, conventional wisdom was that the human body wasn't capable of breaking the 4-minute mile until Roger Bannister came along, and he had to believe. He had to envision himself breaking that 4-minute mile, even when nobody else did. And even after he failed over and over again, he continued to believe. And sure enough, he did it. And then everybody did it. Now think about it. What are your limiting beliefs? What are the things that are holding you back? You have to understand that the only thing that can hold you back is your limiting beliefs in yourself. You see, you can achieve your best year ever. In fact, you can be a catalyst by achieving your goals and your dreams to help other people believe that it's possible, just like Roger Bannister did. Now, you've probably heard the quote that says, "Nothing is impossible to them who believe." Do you know who first said that? It was Jesus. In Mark chapter 9, a father came to him with his son, and the father said, "If you can heal my son, if you can, will you heal him?" And Jesus said, it's interesting his response. He said, "If you can?" He said, all things are possible to them who believe. So you have to first believe. Why is it that when you see a 10 to 15,000 pound elephant, you know, it's chained to the ground with just a small stake? Have you ever wondered? Well, you know, the reason why is because the elephant has allowed himself to become a victim of his limiting beliefs. You see, as a baby elephant, he was chained to the ground with just a small stake. And yet the elephant would try to get away and would try to pull and break free. And then finally the elephant would say, "Who am I to think I can get free? Who am I to think it's possible to break these chains?" And then all of a sudden the elephant grows into a 10, 15,000 pound elephant. It's pulling thousands of pounds, and yet it's still chained. What is it that's holding you back? What are your chains? What are your limiting beliefs? You know, there are 2 types of people. There are those who believe they can and those who believe they can't, and they're both right. See, they're both right. There are 2 types of limiting beliefs. There are limiting beliefs in ourselves and limiting beliefs in others. And, I'll share with you a couple limiting beliefs I had. One was videos. You know, I would look at a video camera and I'd see it as sterile. Instead of seeing people, I would see the sterile object, and I'd say, you know what, I'm not good at that. I'd look at the video and I'd say, you know what, let somebody else who has a face made for camera, let somebody else who has a thick hair and all, let them do it. But then, finally I realized that these limiting beliefs were holding me back. Because, God had given me a passion. He'd given me a gift, and I had a desire to share it with others. But first, I had to exchange those limiting beliefs for empowering beliefs. I'll share with you another limiting belief. Many, many years ago, I had a limiting belief that success was hard. And then somebody shared with me, and I won't ever forget it. They said, it's easier to succeed than it is to fail. And I thought about that, and I said, that makes sense. And I decided to adopt that empowering belief and exchange it for the limiting belief. And then another one was that there was limited opportunities, limited resources. And then I exchanged that for, there's endless possibilities, there's endless opportunities, there's endless resources. If only I'll reach for it, if only I'll believe that it's possible. And so, again, all things are possible if only you'll believe. And so before we move into the second part of the series, the second step in the 7 parts to your best year ever, I want to challenge you with this. I want you to identify 3 limiting beliefs in your life and then exchange them for empowering beliefs that will serve you. I also want to ask you to write out a paragraph envisioning what will it look like at the end of this following year when you achieve your goals and your dreams and you live your best year ever. What will it look like? What would that feel like? And then if this video has encouraged you, I want to ask you to go out there and share it with others. And together we can go out there and be a catalyst to make this world brighter, one person at a time. Now let's go out there and make it an awesome week as we exchange limiting beliefs for empowering beliefs. God bless.